Well, the Three-Eye Atlas is carrying something very ancient, where you go back into the core, into the galactic center, into the 0 point, into the essence. And it is asking you to remember that. From that place, there is no separation, there is only union.
What is happening around this convergence on Earth right now in this current timeline of humanity in December 2025?
It is that we entered this one during this time, for there was an opening, a space of receptivity in which a calling took place, and there was a willingness to receive, to say yes. And yet, energetically, from where it is that we have been knocking on the doors of many for a very long time, but there has been resistance.
Kelly Kolodney, welcome back on Just Tap In. I wanted to start off for a moment before we talk about this great convergence that is unfolding right now on the planet. I wanted to tune into how you're feeling with these energies that are building up for December 2025 and everything that is changing and shifting in the field for humanity.
I'm incredibly excited. I think it's really beautiful, and it feels like this wave of love and remembering just flooding the planet. And I'm already starting to feel it come in my personal experiences. And I hope others are starting to feel the vibration as we're preparing. It's just, it feels very divine.
For the last few weeks or so, you've been guiding your community through a light code around the sacred womb. And I wanted to ask you how that's tied in and why you felt the need, or you and Angel Raphael felt the need to bring this through right before a huge transmission around the divine feminine and the Christ codes that are coming through next month in December.
Well, it's the creation center, right? It's the emptiness. It's the place where everything is born from. And it's something we don't tap into. It's an actual chakra, the womb chakra, but we never think about it or hear about it. Whether you're a male or a female, you have it. It's that vortex of creation. It's deeply connected to the emptiness, to the darkness, to what we might call the pregnant void of nothingness. And it's calling out to us. It's asking us to return to it, mostly because we've been so looking at the outward, and in a place of distraction and busyness. And it's really inviting us to come into the empty space. Raphael would say the space between the breath, between the heartbeat, in the silence, in the darkness, the place that we often don't want to go or be or visit, but is so deeply needed right now to prepare, because we're emptying out our vessel. We're purifying it, we're healing it, and in preparation to open it to more energy to come in to receive at higher frequencies. So it's very important right now. And whether people are engaged in that light code with me or not, they can on their own really take time to step into that empty space. So important. Yeah.
Mm. And I feel like from our recent conversations that we talked off air, it's also been about, this light code of the womb has uncovered a lot of wounds of the feminine, things such as abortions, rape, other things. And this goes beyond just the female body. This is also within the male as well. So I wanted to ask you there, what have you learned as you traverse this womb space around how the feminine has been suppressed and how that's changing going into this new year, which is a rebirth cycle for humanity as well?
Yeah, well, we've been working a lot with Mary Magdalene, and she's sort of an archetype that shows of something that has been dismissed hidden, torn out from the Gospels, unseen, ridiculed, judged, told to be something bad, to be a sinner, to be a prostitute, to be a whore, just to be a femme, that she couldn't possibly be an apostle, nor the beloved of Christ itself, because she was unworthy. So that frequency of unworthiness, of judgment, of prejudice, of humiliation, of rejection, of abandonment, all of those wounds, which we all carry in ourself, in our cellular memory, were carried through stories that were illusions, that were untrue, that were born out of power, hierarchy, a need to control. And so those vibrations, whether we heard those stories in churches, or we read them in gospels, or we were very disconnected from any religious upbringing, they still permeate the entire collective consciousness. It's in the field. And it's been received in so many other ways. And so this energy of returning to recognizing the importance of the feminine, which can carry that emptiness, that purity, that darkness, that has been left out, our sense of intuition, our sense of internal knowing, of going within, everything has been outward, outside of ourselves, is rising, because it has to come back into balance with the divine masculine and come into union if we are going to really embody our divine self. So that energy is coming up right now. It's being seen. And as Mary Magdalene would say, she's been hiding for 2,000 years quietly in the dark recesses, waiting for the moment. But truth always comes to the surface. And that truth is coming up now for us to remember. And that's why there's so many books being written about her, and podcasts, and people talking about her, because it has to come back into balance with the divine masculine.
And 1987 was a big year for you. We've talked about this before. Around the time when Angel Raphael started to come through very strongly, it was almost like a convergence. And you were, in your early 20s at the time. And Raphael has spoken of this convergence because it was a very special time in humanity's timeline, in the Earth's timeline, for these energies to come through. It seems like right now, this window that we're being a part of, 2025 going into 2026, is another convergence, but different from the one that you experienced back in 87. What do you feel are those differences that we're experiencing now in this other greater convergence?
It felt like in 1987, we had the actual harmonic convergence. And that was a planetary lineup. And at that time, people all around the globe started to have these spontaneous spiritual awakenings, including myself. The energy started coming in. We weren't thinking about it, trying to do it. It just kind of flooded in. It was like the soul being called to some remembering of work to do, and something kind of just turned on. And back then, Raphael said that it was just one of many waves that would continue over time to come in as we open this aperture, this birthing process. But it feels now that we're in another big wave, and that wave is coming as we're approaching the end of the year, moving into the winter solstice. And as we're doing that, it feels, and Raphael shows, that we kind of had this tiny little pinpoint, right, of opening, and it's gotten wider and wider and wider. And now we're going to have another big burst where so many people are going to have spontaneous experiences, awakenings, rememberings, connecting to their soul, to their essence, to their divine self, being able to perceive and see things in ways that they have forgotten. And this love kind of coming in and just flooding the planet. But we have to be prepared and receptive to receive that. Not that we'll miss it. I'm sure we'll all be feeling the energies coming in. But if there isn't spaciousness for it, and we're already so full, we might not be able to allow ourselves to surrender to the energy coming in and to really embrace what it has to share with us. Yeah.
Yeah, last time we spoke, I was really eager to bring you into this project that we started back in August of the Deep Dive community, the membership that we put out, where every month we go through something very deep, a transmission, a theme, and we journey through that for 4 weeks. And we said, well, this would be the one for December. And I told you, well, December, Christ, and then you're like Christ consciousness. And then so we decided to put together this code of Christ consciousness, but then we realized that there was something that there was merging on your side, things that you were also teaching on your end around the divine feminine. That's also a huge convergence point that's going on now, which I'd love to speak into briefly, around how the Christ consciousness is finally coming back into union with the divine feminine. Maybe let's start in the beginning. At what moment in time, or why did these two energies start drifting apart, and how are they meeting each other back again now?
Well, I mean, we've been really, really immersed in the masculine for a very long time, and that has brought us so many incredible gifts and opportunities, but it's been also deeply out of balance because it's been missing the divine feminine. And this union that we're speaking of is a union inside ourselves. It's a unification of all the aspects coming back into this wholeness and into this oneness. And so the divine feminine is rising to hold the container for the divine masculine, for them to come back into union and to unify for what sometimes is thought of almost as the bridal chamber, the union of love between the two, that has no conditions, no judgments, that's fully in alignment with this love of a breath between them that really unifies. And so in December, the Christ consciousness frequency is very strong across the planet. We also approach what's called the 1212 portal, which is 144, which is the vibration of Christ consciousness. It's connected with the apostle vibration and the power of the 12. But the 13 that has been missing, that has been told to be bad and negative, right? Is also needs to be deeply embodied. And so what they're showing is that we're going to be merging the Christ consciousness grid itself on the planet with the divine feminine mother source grid of this beautiful energy, and then coming together so that when we move into the winter solstice, there's this union that takes place. And we have this birthing of this alignment where we connect with our essence, with our soul, with this deep remembering of who we are. And a part of that returns to ourself that's been lost. And we come into union with it. But we can't come into union in fullness, in the remembering of who we are, if we're only traveling through the masculine, because we have to bring them together. The portal can't open. The gateway is locked if we're only really embodying one or the other, or if we're only in our feminine. And feminine can be very out of balance as well. I mean, it has its side too that's not so pretty, right? So as we begin to bring both of them into balance, and we see the purity and the love, and they then come into union, it unlocks something. It's like a gateway, a Stargate that opens at the winter solstice, that allows us to pass through, and we'll be carried on what's called, in a sense, this red thread through the blood, through the frequency of the memory within our cellular being, within our blood, to return back to union with our divine self. And so Raphael's been talking all year since the spring equinox of this beautiful birthing. Are like, well, what is it we're birthing? It's more of a remembering, right? It's a birthing of releasing, in many regards, all of the illusions between the masculine and the feminine that have been deeply, that we've been indoctrinated with, that are in our collective consciousness, that begin to dissolve so that we can come into union with the seed point, the purity, the soul, the essence, and embody it more. And so today, when I was in transmission with Raphael, we deeply connected and saw our soul, and like, what does it feel like to remember who you are before you came, like your real essence? Like, can we go back to a place where we can step into a space of that remembering? And then when we remember that, can we come into union with it? And how do we come into union with it? Just like if we were a soul coming to the planet, we would come into union with it through the womb. And we would come into union through two energies of the masculine and the feminine coming together, right? And so that whole process, it's almost like we're redoing it, but from a place not of separation, but of union and of love. So that when we give birth to this divine avatar to this being, this galactic frequency of light, we do it through the process that we were loved along the way and that we are in union with ourselves.
Kelly, it feels big. Like every time I tune into it, every time I hear you speak about it, it feels like this is a pivotal piece into the new human that we've been talking about, with so many different people that are chiming in and talking about this reemergence of a galactic human, a new human, a future human. And part of that is also, how do we align with the energies of the new earth? And we've talked about these outdated systems that are no longer working for us. Competition, there's not enough for everyone. And these are the energies that we've played with for the last thousands of years. And I feel like now it's time for a lot of us that are working in this space and people tuning in to, hey, let's change those frequencies. Let's see what could we create that is new. And part of that was something that you and I felt really called to do, which was how do we converge our communities together? How do we converge the leadership and the voices that we've been using and putting those together? And something beautiful came about, and we've been talking about it recently in our own individual channels. But I did want to give a space to talk about how this new era, this new earth of collaboration, hopefully we can also inspire more people in our space to come together and co-create as one mind, one heart. I'm headed to a Joe Dispenza retreat next in a few days, and the last theme of the event that I went to was one mind, one heart. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what we're becoming. So how do you feel like this convergence that you and I are weaving together is part of this new earth frequency, and how you maybe felt into it on your end as well?
Well, there's so many things. I mean, I don't know if it's okay to say this, but it feels to me like you very much carry this very pure divine masculine energy, which is very strong, but also sweet and kind. And that is so needed right now. And so as you're carrying that energy, and I'm able to channel, Raphael and Mary Magdalene, who hold that other energy of this beautiful divine feminine, and we can bring that in, those frequencies in, and embody it, especially in the new generations coming up too, to really feel and into and remember who they are. That gives me such a sense of hope, that we can transcend what it is that we're all going through now on the planet by remembering each other and who we are and why we are here and what our purpose is, and awakening to this deep inner remembering and really love one another again. And so I don't think there's anything more important than the convergence of this at this time, and the idea of bringing communities together. I think that that's supernatural, but the mind that's stuck in the illusion of fear or separation will say, oh, well, what if they take this for me or that for me, or what if this happens or that happens, or people want to hold on to their control, what's theirs, close their garage door at night, not talk to their neighbors, isolate themselves from everything and everyone. And we've lost this sense of coming together in community and connection and collaboration, which, if we're going to thrive moving forward, not just in the spiritual community, but in our lives as things change, I think we're going to have to remember what it's like to call our neighbor and borrow some sugar, right? Like, to go back to a sense of not feeling like we're always bothering someone, or you have to make an appointment even to make a phone call now. You can't just, like, everything is so disconnected. Like when I grew up, you just called somebody, and now it's like, well, I could call you at this time between here and now, right?
Here's my booking link.
Yeah, this is my booking link. Like, we're really, I even have someone in my family who makes an appointment with their grandmother once a month. They have to book on the calendar, right? So there's this like,
Grandma, did you accept the request?
Yeah. I have a slot open here for you. And so I think we've had to create those boundaries, and they've been important. And we've had to go into this time of cocooning and rediscovering ourselves. And perhaps some quietness. But as we transcend and come back into union with ourselves and we move into 2026, I think it's going to be a lot about community, a lot about coming back together, people meeting in person, not just doing these types of events like we're doing here, but in-person events as well, like heart to heart, soul to soul, family to family, and reuniting, because I think we've lost something along the way. And so this is one way of many for us to gather. So you and I are bringing your community and our community together, and we're going to merge and share the Christ consciousness vibration, the divine feminine, Mary Magdalene, Yeshua, in union, metaphorically within our communities, which is so sweet. And yeah, most people don't do that for many reasons. And I think that's part of letting go of this old construct, that there's another way to do it.
Well, what do you think are some of those reasons why we haven't done this before?
Well, I think the idea of separation and competition, and there's only enough for me. Or if I do this, then there'll be less people that will do it for you. Like a sense that we have to hold it all tight to ourselves, that we can't somehow share. Or if I have a podcast in this particular sector, then you can't do that, or you're taking my people, or I'm selling this and you're selling that. And well, then my people will go to, like, this whole mindset, rather than, oh, but we can all be together and we can all share in it. And it's okay. And we can trust each other. I think another piece is a big loss in trust, that people feel like, well, what if I get burned? Or what if they're not in integrity? Or, I've built something and I have to, what's my part? And instead of, okay, I have to look at the essence of someone. Do I trust this person? Are we in alignment? Can we come together to be of service for the greater good? And if you can come into resonance with that, I think that is a pathway forward for many of us in many different sectors, to come together again.
Mm-hmm. And I feel that it is the heart that trusts unconditionally. And I can speak to maybe a lot of us out there who have been betrayed before in relationships or in business partnerships. I definitely have in my past when I was starting this journey. And what's interesting is the heart never feels like it's going to be betrayed when it's whole and when it's in that union with itself. When both sides of the heart, both sides of the brain, the masculine, the feminine, are both converging, you trust unconditionally, because you can feel into the essence of a person, and you can feel into an intention of a person. You can feel into even just the voice says so much. And I feel like that is something that I've used to gear and use to my discernment, especially when it comes to having this podcast and bringing different guests on that come from different backgrounds, different agendas. And then it's like, hey, can we just sit for an hour and see each other for who we truly are and see our souls? And then everyone around us that is tuning in also gets to release the masks and take the bag off their head and be like, okay, we're here. Like, this is who we are. We don't have to wear anything. We don't have to be anything. We just have to sit in that presence, and allow our heart to feel into these energies. We're recording this obviously on 11/11. I feel like we always time things. This is not something that we planned before. It was just like, hey, what day are you free? Oh, Tuesday. Oh, that's 11/11.
At anyway. 11 right now. Oh my God. Okay, it's 11/11 right now.
No. Oh my! Wait.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Kelly, what the heck?
Yeah. I just took people through 11 gateways to reach their soul this morning, and it was so cool. And guess what? 11 days, today's 11/11, and 28 days, which is like the cycle of a woman, it leads us to December 8th, which is the light conception, which we will do in the Divine Feminine Code and what we're sharing together, which then it starts on the full moon, then we'll hit the light conception, and then 40 days later is the is the solstice. And Three-Eye Atlas is going to show up on the 19th, just beforehand. And before that is the 12-12, which is the activation of the Christ consciousness, the 12 and the 12 coming together with the divine feminine. So it's kind of epic, and I'm so excited. And I wish everybody will be in the magic with us.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I mean, I would love to also give us the space to bring in Raphael and Mary Magdalene if she feels called to join us today. Before that, just to put together all that you mentioned, because that was very unexpected. It's like 11:11. Anyways, so Kelly and I are going to be doing 2 live events, one on the 12/12, December 12th, and the other on the winter solstice. Powerful activations, as you said, that are going to come through. We're going to also bring in some special surprise guests, people that people love in this space. We're not going to say too much on that yet. But also more than that, it is about a journey. I'm almost seeing it as an initiation for myself, for everyone that joins us in ending this year in convergence of these energies and entering the new year in balance, in harmony. So if you want to tell us a little bit about this 3-week journey that we're going to go through with the Divine Feminine Light Code, that we're also packaging in with the Christ consciousness transmission that you and I recorded separately as well for the deep dive, and anything else that you feel is relevant to talk about in this journey that we're all going to go through, for those that feel in their heart called to be with us there.
So I guess I'll just start real briefly at the beginning. At the spring equinox, Raphael said that it was the end of the Kali Yuga, that we would be on a 9-month journey, a gestation period that would end 9 months later exactly on the winter solstice. And out of the 55 light codes that I've shared with my community, I've done half of them. We're at the 0 point in the middle, which is the union point. And we will begin with the Divine Feminine on the full moon on December 4th for 3 full weeks of initiations, transmissions, channelings from the Archangel Raphael, in alignment also with Christ consciousness. So we'll start the journey on the 4th. We'll come into harmony with one another. We'll connect as a collective, and we'll begin to weave an energy and open our space within our energetic womb space to receive on December 8th, which is traditionally thought of as the day of the Immaculate Conception. But this is not a religious thing or in any way. It's more of a attunement to what's called light conception, where we will conceive, in a way, our divine avatar self. We will come into union. It will come into us, and then we will embody it. We'll hold it. We'll love it as Yeshua and Mary Magdalene come in as, in a sense, divine parents of love who unconditionally, without judgment, adore us. And we feel a presence growing within us as if we were just in alignment and held in this sacred space, feeling their vibration of their union that will come together on 12/12. And then we're going to receive 3 gifts, one to open our pineal gland, one to open our heart, and one to open our womb. And there'll be an eye, the eye of the heart, the eye of the pineal gland, and the eye of the womb, which will be a portal gateway to aligning and threading us through a vortex of love to our avatar divine self. And then we will receive gifts from Three-Eye Atlas as the cosmos and the cosmic energies come in and descend and send to us and deliver within us energies to awaken our avatar self. And then we'll have the birthing, the finale, where we will all come together collectively in a large community on Zoom live. And all of this will be live. The dates, and I'll share the dates, where we will bring in the vibrations to collectively go through a process of aligning with our divine selves and birthing the new consciousness as we step over the threshold into the new year. So it's pretty epic, and I'm really excited.
It is very epic. And one thing I'll say is I got back from Peru just a few days ago with Robert Edward Grant, and that was a 10-week journey. I'm still landing a lot of the codes that came through in my body and just taking some time to integrate before I fully speak about it. But before, I just felt called to say, you mentioned Three-Eye Atlas. While we were there in Cusco, one of the sacred sites, Sacsayhuamán, Robert was able to see from an aerial view that it's also a reflection of us. These sacred sites are always a reflection of us. That's what the ancients were trying to tell us. These huge megalithic stones are you. They're who you are.
Mm.
And he found one that was very similar to a human brain, and another part of the site that was very similar to a human heart. And if you go to his page, he'll probably have pictures up around that. And we're going to also talk on the podcast tomorrow about that trip and what came through. But when we reached the part of the brain, intuitively, the whole group just went into a circle. And when we realized, and Robert did an activation, a prayer, and then he posted it on his social media, everyone started saying, hey, did you see that, in the sky, there was these clouds forming that looked like an eye of Horus? And then when we looked at it, it's like you can literally see an eye. And then when we realized the circle that we were in was all around that space of the, where the pineal gland is in the brain. So we had an activation of the third eye, and we realized 3-eye Atlas, third eye Atlas, because this beautiful, massive comet that's coming in is an activation for us of our psychic perception, of our gifts, of our third eyes, and reality will shift when we start perceiving it in a different way. So I just wanted to mention that because it's also a huge part about what we're going to be activating right before the solstice event on the 19th, together in community. And also to be more supportive for people as well, to have these spaces of integration. We're giving access to our deep dive community for 2 full months within this package that we're bringing through. And in there are some meditations that have been produced by the Monroe Institute. One of them is the one that you just recorded with us that the Monroe is getting prepared and ready for. And those have been really powerful and supportive for people. We're also doing live events throughout those 2 months for people to come together, meet each other, meet Soul Family, and just celebrate this beautiful time that we're part of right now. So I just wanted to mention the 3-eye Atlas stuff, which now I feel like is a beautiful time to bring Raphael, Mary Magdalene, if she's feeling free today. I don't know. to come through.
Yeah. And, Mary Magdalene's a whole different frequency, but for sure we'll see. We could ask her. Okay, beautiful. Sounds good. So I'll just channel. For those of you who don't know me, when I channel, I close my eyes and I make some sounds, and then I say hello. My hands kind of move, so I'm going to do that, and then wherever you are in the world, you can say hello back. All right.
Hello.
We are very delighted to be here and to align with all of you and to bring messages of love. And so we understand that there are things in which you're wanting to talk about. And so what is it?
Thank you, Angel Raphael. I wanted to hear, of course, from your perspective, what is happening around this convergence on Earth right now in this current timeline of humanity in December 2025? How maybe that is similar. We were talking with Kelly, the 1987 Harmonic convergence. How is this maybe a mirror and an enhancer of that convergence that we've lived through before?
Well, it is that we entered this one during this time, for there was an opening, a space of receptivity in which a calling took place, and there was a willingness to receive, to say yes. And yet, energetically, from where it is that we have been knocking on the doors of many for a very long time, but there has been resistance. There has been an unwillingness to hear the call, to attune to the oneness, to step into the remembering. But there is an energy that you are speaking of that is being coming perfectly in alignment with the timing of this that is ancient and old and billions and billions and billions of years old. And it is directed by something magnificent, and it is in alignment, and it has purpose. And as it is coming in, it is softening a space, a tenderness, an opening inside the heart. And as it is opening the heart, it is also opening the womb, and it is also opening the third eye, as if the doors become ajar and there is a crack, a light, a space, as the light is carried by the winds of the sun and the frequencies descend upon your planet. They create a softening within these spaces, these three portals, these three openings within the energetic form of your body. And in the opening of that, you begin to feel a pulse, a receiving, a remembering, and knowing. And the doors inside your own heart, the softening within your own third eye, the softening within the creation of your own womb space begins to open, and the ajar crack of that light becomes wider and wider as the door begins to open, and the energies start to flood in from the heavens, from the cosmos, from the frequencies as above and below. And not only are they arriving from the stars in the distant lands, that they are coming up from deep within the core and the residents of the earth themselves, as they are merging within your heart. And as this is happening and the softening is taking place, more and more will heal, they will feel, they will know, they will open, as the resistance and the heaviness and the block and the wounds and the pain of separation begin to dissolve and soften. The doorway starts to open and the light begins to flood in. And so this is a flooding of love that is arriving into the hearts that are opening to the receiving of it. And so the similarity is that we have come before, but there were only a few hearts soft enough to feel the call, the pulsation, where the resistance had dropped. But now the resistance will dissolve, it will open, the separation of illusion will fall away. And in the falling away and in the opening and the ajar of the door and the awakening and the opening of it, you will receive these frequencies. And as they descend upon the planet in alignment with the vibration that they are carrying, that comes from many star beings, from many distant galaxies, they will be received inside of you. And the attunement to that will lift the veil of the forgetting, in which you will step over threshold into the knowing and the remembering, with the gifts that have been dormant within you will begin to flood your system. And this is what many of you speak of or know to understand as the new human. But it is not so much that it is new. It is an unveiling of what has been, a remembering to that. And so you will feel deeper. You will see more clearly. You will know more inside the depths of your being. And you will create in the quickening of a moment. And so it is that this is what is occurring, and its similarity yet different, because it will affect more than it has before, because the softening has been prepared.
Mm. Raphael, what is the real alchemy that happens when Mary Magdalene archetypes merge with Christ archetypes? What is the alchemy that goes on when these two energies come together?
No, it is love. There is a wanting for it to be more than that, but it is true love. It is a love without judgment. It is a love that is pure. It comes from the soul, from the essence, from the in-between, the space where there was nothing, the place in which it was before it descended upon the flesh. There is a remembering, a wholeness of both, not one being greater or less than another, but coming together within the bridal chamber of the equal parts, of the unification through the frequency of love itself, a remembering as to what love really is, that it is a place in which you came from. It is all around you. You are inside of it. You cannot separate yourself from it. You've come from it, you shall return to it. You are bathed in it always. But it is as you disconnect from it, as you only see one part of self, as you focus on the separation and the story, the illusion of the idea of control, you begin to forget the love. You begin to forget the divine. You forget that every single being and everything that you see and do is yourself. You forget about the mirror, the reflection, the frequency of love staring back at you. And when you remember it, when you see the essence of it within every living being, within all breath, within every beating heart, within the knowing of all that ever has and ever shall be, you come into union with that remembering. And so it is the essence of these beings that they come into union within their remembering. They have only seen and can only see you through their eyes of love, which is in the wholeness of who you are. And it is through that space that you begin to embody it. And as you embody the love, that which has caused separation within the mental body, the physical body, and the emotional body begins to unify back into wholeness, and miracles begin to unfold. And the energies of the remembering and the attunement to the wholeness of creation itself arrive, and you know who you are. And so it is that this energy is all that it has ever been, and yet the mind wants to complicate it more, to make it somehow complex or distant from itself. But it has always been where it is always and will be, which is inside of you. And it is always there, and it is love.
You mentioned about the perfect timing of all of this unfolding. And I wanted to ask you how this aligns also with the incoming comet or celestial phenomenon, 3i Atlas, how this ties into what Kelly and I are creating together in this merging and in this convergence of these energies of the masculine and feminine. How does 3i Atlas play into all of this?
Well, 3i Atlas is carrying something very ancient, where you go back into the core, into the galactic center, into the 0 point, into the essence. And it is asking you to remember that. From that place, there is no separation. There is only union. It is before the separation took place. It is in the emptiness. And yet it is coded with everything that ever has been. And it is bringing and delivering to all of you something. And it has a perfect timing. It is occurring in a way that is a great design. It was planned this way. And if you search in the depth of your being and all of those listening, you'll remember of the time in which the plan was written, the time in which it all came to be, the time in which you aligned with it, the time in which you knew you would be present on the earth at the moment of its arrival, that it would carry something, a part of you, back home, that it would bring with it that had been lost, that is tethered through the cosmos back to the source of who you are. And so if you go all the way back into the depth of its origin, in the ancient remembering of itself, it comes from such a distant place and time, moving so rapidly through space in the quickening of a moment. And yet imagine how long it has taken for its arrival. And yet how can it be in the understanding? Because it comes from a place that does not understand nor compute time in the way in which you do. For it is infinite and endless and simultaneous and present all at once, and yet arriving in a synchronistic flow and a symphony of light with other energies and planets that do not come from an idea of something separate, but have been synchronized in a symphony of light to return to bring the systems of remembering to you at this moment. And so it comes from union, and so it must mirror union inside of you. It comes from a place in which there is no separation. So as it arrives and as you merge with it, as you receive its codes, it supports you in your unification. Not only the unification of the divine masculine and feminine within you, but the union between all, the remembering that you are not separate, the understanding that you are fragmented pieces of the whole, of the same, that you are the essence, the source, the God frequency, the universe, all in one, wrapped up inside of you, mirroring that back to you in the remembering. And in that, the forgetting falls away, and you see the purity and the love within one another. And so it carries this. If only you will open to it, if only the door in your heart will widen enough to receive it in the space within the sacred holy womb of the center of your creation, and the point of the light of the seat of the soul and the pineal gland that opens, that begins to merge the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere within the center, merging it into the unified field of oneness as it rises from the base of your spine through your womb and your sacred heart as they come together with that of the immaculate heart and the blooming of the rose to rise into the center of the pineal gland where the light awakens and passes through your crown, through the toric field, moving rapidly to open the space for the receptivity of the frequencies that are returning. And so it mirrors union because it came from a place of oneness.
And if this union and if this oneness isn't just reflected in us, but in entire communities, if communities are coming together and uniting, such as this convergence between Kelly's communities and mine, what occurs to the collective grid of the earth when groups of humans come together and start working together, start converging and start being with each other in a new way?
Oh, it is the harmonization of coherence within the heart, from separate hearts to one beating heart. And this requires a connection, an attunement through the web of the quantum field of remembering of one heart. And when that beating of one heart begins to occur on the planet in pockets and pods of frequencies, and they begin to merge with one another, they create a healing. You are seeking healing always, but true healing, a healing that is real, that is permanent, that is full, that is alive, that is miraculous. And the healing takes place not only within your own hearts, but it begins to pass through and into the collective of the minds of many, and into the earth and into the waters as they begin to heal. And it begins to heal your soil and release the toxins. It begins to heal the animal kingdom. The crystals become alive. Nature begins to speak and talk to you. The waters become living. You hear their voices as they flow through the rivers into the open oceans. You hear the sounds in new ways. You connect to the light and the stars and the suns and the moons. You feel the union of all living things and the repair of the lines, the systems, the grids, the portals, and they begin to turn on. It is as if they have been broken for a period of time. You travel and you go to them to love them, to repair them, to heal from them, to remember them. And yet they too have been disconnected through the meridians around the planet as they then come in union with one another. And the power of the unification of the portals of these frequencies on your planet that have been received from the star beings begin to turn on. And energy begins to flow through your whole being, through the earth system, through the grid system, through the portal systems. And you begin to merge not only the galactic energies, but the womb frequencies deep inside the core of the earth. And that begins to merge inside your heart. And so it is a collective energy of harmonization, not only between you as humans in communities in recognition of union between the divine masculine and the feminine, but it is a union between you and the galactic core, the essence, the soul, the presence of your origin. And it is a union with you, with the Mother Earth and the entrance point and the core of her being and all of her living things, as they come back into remembering, in which there is no longer a need to harm one another, for you understand that everything that you touch and love and see in the presence of your love returns to its wholeness. And when you harm it, you harm yourself, for the mirrored understanding of that begins to amplify, and through the strength of that collective knowing and harmonization, you unify as one.
Raphael, what is your message to those who are maybe in a bit of fear of this return of the Christ consciousness energies? because we've heard in many prophecies before that this return will be chaotic and will cause a lot of collapse because the energy is so potent. What is your message to those that are maybe in that perception of this unfolding?
The safety that they are searching for lives and dwells inside. It is an illusion, the fragmented pieces that are dissolving and falling away. And when you grasp onto them and the deep wanting to retain what has been, then you will feel suffering within your own being. But when you can release them, trust, fall, surrender into the arms of the divine, in the deep remembering of your internal self, in the oneness of who you are, that has no end and no beginning, there is nothing to fear. And as you release that fear, doorways open and floodgates begin to flood you with love, and you align yourself with the frequency of unfolding of synchronicity and magic, in which you see the purity and the remembering of who you are, in which everything in which appears in your experience is seen and understood and known to be a gift, in which the cloak of illusion disappears upon you and is no longer the guiding operating system of your experience. And so we invite them in this moment of fear and trepidation, of worry, of suffering, of pain, of separation, of the grieving of what they have known past to be, to let go and hand it to the divine, to surrender, to fall into the arms of the union of these frequencies and the remembering that it is perfect. And it is in that, although difficult and hard at times, that they shall find their way and know their way home, as they come back into the union with themselves, who will never let them down, for it is always continuously opening the door for their evolution and their growth. And as they perceive it from that perception, the need to go through the suffering dissolves in the understanding that those trials and tribulations which have been put in their path before no longer need to be obstacles to the return of the remembering, as they open a pathway that moves with flow and grace and ease. And this is the new way of the energies that are arriving. And so drop into the remembering of this and let go of the hanging on and trust that all is unfolding in the divine timing within its own perfection, just as this energy that is arriving from a distant place billions of years old on a trajectory of its own blueprint and its own design, trusting in its perfection, knowing it has come for so long, that you too have come from these distant places and stars. And you must trust in your own design, to the design created for and by you. And in the remembering of that, there is nothing any longer to fear.
Beautiful. And Raphael, before we get back with Kelly, I would love to ask you, what do you feel that humanity is really preparing for beyond December, heading into the new year? And what can we do in that sense to prepare for these shifts and energies that are coming through for us?
Of returning to the sacred sites, a returning to the land, a returning to the drumming and the mantra and the breath and the song, a returning home to your roots, to the stars, to the indigenous ones, to the remembering, in which you communed with the plants and the trees and the crystals and the light, in which you ate with prayer and sacredness, in which you blessed you and washed in your waters of the living waters of the memories that they carried, as you honored your grandmothers and grandfathers, as you came together in union, community, collaboration, fire, and dance. It will be a year of connection. It'll be a year of remembering. It'll be a year of looking at one another, seeing the divine, honoring each other, holding each other, guiding each other through the times of great transition, through times in which things might shift and change, and yet choices and doorways and pathways will open for you collectively to choose new ways and paths to follow, together, not alone, but as one.
Thank you, Raphael. I am so grateful and excited to journey with you in this month of December and just receive all of this beautiful wisdom and codes that are coming through, and for allowing me to be a part of this with you. And I'm super just eternally grateful and really excited for everyone else that is going to join us, and be part of this historic convergence. So thank you.
You're welcome. We send to you from the angelic realm much love and much light and darkness, many blessings and good day.
Thank you. Wow. How do you feel? It's been a lot of channeling for you today.
Every day is a lot of channeling. Tomorrow's my final activation for the Holy Womb Code, and then I think I'm going to take a rest.
Yes, please. We're gonna need you for December.
I know. I've been given very strong instructions what I have to do to prepare, so I will be preparing.
Are there any of those that you would like to share with us? How you're preparing for this? I'm just personally curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, they asked to go through. This was interesting. There was this book came into my awareness recently.
What's it
Universal.
called?
It's called the Universal, and I think it's out of print. Kabbalistic meditation, and it takes actually like an old prayer, the Lord's Prayer, like Our Father who art in heaven prayer, and it shows you how it's actually, when it's decoded, is an opening of our chakra system. And then Raphael translated it into the Mother's Prayer, and I shared that today in class. So we take the Father's Prayer and the Mother's Prayer, and the Mother's Prayer was very beautiful, and I can share it when we move into the Divine Feminine Code. And then we do the prayer energetically as we bring the energy up, from our feet up through our crown. And it's interesting if you think about this old prayer, like Our Father, it's like, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name is the throat, thy kingdom come is the heart, my will be done is the solar plexus. And it actually energetically goes down and then comes back up, our chakra system. But it gets, in dogma, a lot of that gets forgotten.
Right.
And so what they've been asking me to do is to bless and to align with all of my different systems in my body for the next 40 days through elimination, prayer, and connection. So to go outside every single day and ground, to do a washing of the feet, to spend time in the darkness, to give a sacred rose to a stranger every day for 40 days.
Wow. And you did
Yeah.
that today, right? You went to
Yeah,
give
I went to
someone
the
a
grocery
rose.
store. I got new ones. I haven't given mine away yet today. I got to go. I gave some, but I have to go and whatever. So every day you have to give one, to say, I love you with your name. Like, I love you, Kelly, with your heart. To work with your breath, to connect with the breath, to say your mantra. What was the other one? To open the third eye by gazing into the eyes of either yourself in the mirror or your beloved and say, I love you. And then to be in spaciousness where you have a period of time, even if it's 5 minutes, where you just do nothing. You're not even meditating. You're just doing nothing. And there were 11 gateways for the 11:11. And then to do that between now and the winter solstice to prepare to receive the energies. So that's what I'll be doing. Oh, and fasting. And I was like, oh, do I have to fast? Like, I can't fast for 40 days. That's crazy. But I'm just going to do one
Hey,
meal.
Jesus did it.
Yeah, well, I'm no Jesus.
He did it. No.
You can do that one. You're the
I'll do
divine
that one.
masculine.
I'll take the fasting.
Okay, thanks.
Just a chocolate bar per day. That's
So anyway, that's the plan. So anyone who's listening to that and wants to do one of those things or all of those things in preparation, then we'll be clearer vessels to receive the energies. Yeah.
My preparation, I'm going next week or in a few days to Dr. Joe Dispenza's first 10-day advanced follow-up retreat. And it's coming right on the heels of this Peru event, excursion. Sorry. So I feel like there will be a lot of space for me in the void to also be prepared into what's coming through around these codes as well, and be able to share it when we get together on 12/12, the solstice. I'm really excited to see everyone. We're going to do something that we've never done before. Like, my vision is that we have thousands and thousands of people meditating together at the same time doing this activation. But I can already feel it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful journey with you. And as I told you before, I can't think of anyone better to do this with. So Kelly, I appreciate you. We end every show with a segment called The Final Trio, as we always do, in spirit of the podcast. Before that, where would you send everyone to connect with you with this beautiful co-creation that we're putting together? Where would you send people for that?
Well, I think you'll probably put a link right here in your own YouTube channel, so they can just go right there. They can go to theangelraphael.com or my YouTube channel. We're going to have it wherever, whoever wants it, they'll find it. So
whoever wants it, they'll find it. That's a beautiful, beautiful piece.
Yep. If it's meant for them, they'll find it.
Yeah. Beautiful. So for the final trio, the first one I have for you is, when all of this is said and done, the human story, the human chapter, what do you believe humanity was meant to remember through this great experiment of separation?
So what were they meant to remember through the separation? I mean, to remember that we are one is what they're here to remember. But through the separation, I think we had this beautiful experience of enjoying the separation too, and the senses and the humanness of our humanness that Raphael will say never incarnated in the human form and didn't get to have that experience. So I think really embracing the humanness and our senses and our connection with each other is what we're meant to know during this time.
Beautiful. There is also a paradox, beauty in separation as well. Like, we had fun. Like, I'm having fun being a separate being from you, having this persona and living this storyline, this character. It's fun. That's why the creator does it.
And we need to have fun. We all need to lighten up a little because have a good time. Yeah.
What is one truth about the divine feminine that humanity is reclaiming now?
Worthiness.
Big one.
Big one. Worthy to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, to be honored.
What do you see in humanity's potential that not a lot of people have yet seen in themselves?
Oh, I just see so much good. Like, I think we so often focus on those who perhaps are at the moment are not amplifying good, but there's so much good out there. So I see that. I see all the sweet people, all the loving people taking care of their families and working and trying to do the right thing and to heal and to better themselves. And I'd say that is what I see. The good in people.
Yeah. And the more you see it, the more it comes into your reality. And it all stems from the belief that there is so much good in the world. And that's where our reality starts reorganizing itself to confirm that belief. So I feel like that's also a big reason why I've drawn so many amazing people like you into my reality, because it's like, this is the best in humanity, people with a pure heart, people that are authentic, people that are in service to humanity. And I just wanted to acknowledge you for all of that and even more. So I'm super excited. As I told Raphael, honored to be in this journey with you. I feel like it's going to be a huge culmination of everything that we've done individually, and bringing everyone together in one space, in one shared field. Again, people can go to the link that is in the description to join us in that. I think the price right now of that is $144. I'm not sure if that's going up. Anyway, I'll leave that to whatever the divine wants to do with that. But anyways, thank you so much, Kelly, again. And I can't wait for next month. It's going to be a beautiful time.
Me too. I can't wait to do this with you. It's going to be epic, and have a wonderful time at the retreat. And can't wait to feel what you bring back from that space to share with all of us. So
yeah, hopefully I'll be levitating
by
then.
Levitating, levitating, telepathic communication, miracles, and spontaneous creation. If you don't come back with that, just forget it.
Why keep going, you know? Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thanks so much.
Love.
Talk to you later. Bye.